RTI.
I hope you're well, because I'm quite happy. I've done really well today because I've been working for a very long time now. While everybody else has just been mucking about and causing me grief. But I have not worried today. I am so chilled out because Petra told me to do something. That's the lovely Petra in the office. And I went, "You're a diamond." So there you go. We better get on with introducing people, I suppose. First of all, now steady with him. Steady, girls and boys. He is a bit stressed. Poor little love. Bless him. It's Leigh Banks.
A bit stressed? Is that how you think I am? I want everybody. I can't say what I want to do to everybody. Hello, everybody. Well, how nice it is to be back on the air with you.
Yes. And don't worry, Leigh, we'll pad for you.
You'll pad for me? Pads? I'm not that old.
You are. By the way, on the chat room, just quickly, do tell us where you are, because otherwise it seems a bit daft. Because I'd love to know where you are. Because that makes more fun of it, you see. Then you can... Well, no, you get the idea. And complete with radio-style posse, it's Rachael, Brunsden and crew.
Hello. They're all over the other side of the room and chatting away. I'm at my brother's place and we've just had dinner. And they're all having a big catch-up and now I'm going to rudely interrupt their evening.
Good. Do it loud, Rach. Do it loud.
Too loud, they might get. It's their house and their Wi-Fi. They might kick me out.
No. Rach, be a lovey and go, "Excuse me, I'm an international broadcaster, don't you know?"
But these people know me very well, and they'll just throw things at me.
Oh.
If I act like a lovey, they just say, "Oh, well, I actually can't tell you what they would say because that's rude." But it won't bode well for Rachael.
Oh, well, never mind, eh? Never mind, eh? Just to let you all know, we might have a slight change to the schedule today, but don't worry about it. We'll catch up with it in a week's time. So, sorry for all that. John Hurt, Sir John Hurt, the actor, and I liked him.
He was nice.
I did like him.
Me too.
Yeah, I did. I didn't like him doing Doctor Who.
I didn't know he'd done Doctor Who.
Yes.
Is he making that up, Rachael?
No.
I don't know. I don't know much about Doctor Who. I don't know the chronology of the Who's.
Oh, hang on. Dave R has joined us. Hello, Dave R. Say hello to Dave R, people.
Hello, Dave. R.
R with an S.
Where are you?
Well, ho. Very droll, very droll. But anyway, no, Sir John Hurt was just a great actor. He really was.
He was a curmudgeonly actor.
What was your favourite movie, Rach, with John Hurt in? Hurt.
I know that it's a very strange pick, but for its vintage, and you know me, it's probably not. There's a movie that he did, really actually not a great movie, but I loved it, called From the Hip. And he did that in 1986, I think, with Judd Nelson.
Yeah,
this is just a year after the Breakfast Club, when Judd Nelson was, it a bit, and all the rage in Hollywood, etc. And he did this great movie, and he played this horrendous character, just this awful psychopath, and he did it so brilliantly, and that's my favourite. That was my favourite performance.
Okay, Dave's enlightened us, even though we know already that he's in London. But at least he's playing along with the programme.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, thank you,
now
Dave.
We know where you are.
Send the boys round now. I can't tell you. I kind of liked him in Harry Potter, but I'm not allowed to say that because I never admit to watching anything to do with Harry Potter. But he was cool in that film, I have to say.
Are you still talking about John Hurt?
Yes.
Yes.
But he probably was one of the best British actors we've ever had, wasn't he? He was
I agree.
I liked him also because he liked to have a little bit of a drink, although apparently gave it up in recent years. And he was as famous for his movie career as he was for his drinking escapades.
Well, that's true. That's true, indeed.
I like a drinking man.
Oh, Dave's now getting pedantic. He's not only in London, boys and girls. He's just announced he's in Oxford Circus in London.
Oh, Well, that's you don't give them places to pinpoint there, Dave.
No.
No, they might come and get you.
Oh, this is true.
Yeah,
they'll send the boys round. We'll send Vampy round to get you. Because Vampy's still there. We'll send her round to get you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't know where Vampy is, but we'll send her round to get you anyway. The veteran broadcaster Desmond Carrington has died at the grand old age of 90. Well, he was so old school radio. He really was.
Perfect. We used to listen to him every single Saturday morning doing his Sounds of the 60s. And he was just stunning.
Did he do Sound of the 60s then?
As far as that, no, he wasn't him who did it, no. Talking about a bad day. No, but I used to listen to him anyway. He was very good, very urban. He'd been very ill, though, hadn't he? Very, very ill.
That's right. By the way, just to confirm, message in, John Hurt was the Lost Doctor in Doctor Who and was a special which featured David Tarrant and Matt Smith. That's absolutely right. And Dave just said, "You'll never take me alive."
Oh, good on you, Dave.
Yeah, good on you, mate. So poor old Desmond Carrington's died. He was, I have to say, he was quintessentially BBC broadcasting.
He was. And if I could just put it right, the show that he was famous for was called The Music Goes Round, and he presented it for 35 years.
That's right.
And I'm sorry for saying that he did Sound of the 60s, because he didn't. And I've just had a very bad day and I'm very stressed.
But he was. Actually, he did do a lot of television as well, did Desmond Carrington, in the 1960s. But he suffered in later years with cancer and Alzheimer. And by the way, boys and girls, when you hear that Alzheimer campaign on RTI, do support it, because we support that as well. It's a wonderful thing to support. Let's see if we can find a cure, as the message says. Sopranos and Goodfellas star Frank Pellegrino. Did I get that right? Gosh.
Yes.
You did.
My
it's the
word.
same as the water.
Oh. Okay, we got that right.
Yes.
Monsieur D has just said hello. Hello, Monsieur D.
Hello, Monsieur D.
He's been struggling with lung cancer. He died at the age of 72. And, of course, the Sopranos was one of your faves, wasn't it, Uncle Leigh?
It was. I still think it was one of the best programmes ever made, particularly for its era. And sadly, it fell apart when the main character, Tony Soprano, dropped dead. We were actually in the Blue Hotel when it was in San Francisco when the news broke that he died. And now Frank Pellegrino, who's another one of the main men in that show, has shuffled off this mortal coil. The Sopranos will never, ever come back now.
Oh, you sure?
No.
Well, there was actually talk about a couple of really famous Hollywood actors taking over the part, but nobody could actually fill the shoes properly.
I don't. It's like, I mean, I get the thing with Doctor Who, where he's like reborn every now and again, and that makes sense. But the likes of Bobby Ewing dying and coming back because it was all a dream, I never got into. And the other thing is, you almost have an empathy with the actor who's playing a part, and no matter who they are, it's never the same again.
Well, that's the thing.
It's ridiculous as the notion of recasting Princess Leia. I mean, something should just never be done.
That's right. I couldn't agree with you more. It's like trying to replace Rachael. It's impossible.
Absolutely, yeah. But James
Rachael Light.
James Gandolfini, who played Tony Soprano, just nailed that part. He wasn't particularly well known before he got that part. Right. Excuse me, but he became one of the biggest stars in the world because of it. The problem is, you now look at things like, if you take things like Manhattan or
NCIS.
Argo. Well, apart from that one, there are some brilliant programmes being made. And unfortunately, The Sopranos is just a bit out of date.
I'm going to give him a slap, boys and girls.
Why? What are you going to give me a slap for?
Oh, blimey, he heard me. I was whispering in the broadcast mic, and you heard me on the Skype mic. Oh.
I was whispering. Yes.
Oh, right. Anyway, moving along. The Asia singer, if you don't know who they were a really sort of massive rock band. John Wetton, who sang on The Heart of the Moment, has died at the age of just 67.
That's very young.
Isn't it? I'm sure this is all stressed out and stuff, you know. When people they fight cancer and you look at their lifestyle and it's a bit horrific at times.
Well, it's a bit, I would say, let's lighten it up a little and call it, you know, carefree.
Carefree, yeah, right. Yeah, right. Carefree.
Yes, let's call it the que sera sera effect.
Yes. We'll leave that one at that one, and we're going to move on to something that we talked about here last year. I have to say I was incredibly incensed by it, which I was, because I cannot believe that both in the US and the UK, that any lawyer would try and, if you like, source or solicit for people in war-torn countries to come up and say, that soldier killed my brother, or something equal to that, or that soldier poured water over me, or that soldier did something else. It was basically a witch hunt, boys and girls. But this week, it's all been turned round, because the lawyer in question was a gentleman called Phil Shiner. Mm-hmm. And he claimed to be a human rights lawyer. But he had to stand in front of his peers this week, and it was the Solicitors' Disciplinary Tribunal on Thursday, and he was found guilty of 5 counts of dishonesty. Dishonesty, a solicitor, and he was summarily struck off, and flipping good job and all. And do you know what? He didn't even go to the hearing.
He knew he was in trouble. He knew. He knew his goose was cooked.
Yeah.
And they were about to, you know, check him with a thermometer, make sure that he was definitely cooked, and he knew it, and he just didn't bother going, because why would you?
Well, he claimed he didn't have enough money for the trip to get there.
Yeah, right.
No, I think that's Mr. Banks in the background typing.
We had a guest on the show, scheduled to come on the show today, and it's quite a dramatic story. The thing he's involved in. What we'll do, probably do it again next week now. But he's just written to us, apologised for not turning up, saying that he was with one of the members of his group who was in a really bad way, and he couldn't actually get away to join us. So that's Andrew John Teague, who should have been on the show today, but he's apologising profusely for not being here.
That's okay.
That's all right. You do what you got to do, Andrew.
Absolutely. You have got to do that, Andrew, because you've got a lot of people to support as well. And we'll explain all of that next week, boys and girls, so come back for it. It is an amazing story, I will tell you that. And for a guy that's having problems himself to then dedicate his time to helping other people with the problem, I think he's just amazing. I really do.
It is. Yeah, I've been talking to him for quite a few weeks now, and he makes quite a few appearances in the Consumer Watch Foundation, because the story about him and what he's doing is so powerful, and it affects people in Australia as well. Rachel, you've actually done a story on the same subject, and he's going worldwide with it, and we at CWF anyway are supporting him 100%. It's really sad he couldn't be here today, but I do understand, exactly like Eric says, it's more important that he helps his members out when they need him.
Yeah, absolutely. Returning to Mr. Shiner a minute. Oh, pardon me. What was the end of this story? So, if you remember the story, he was the guy going out there and taking soldiers to court, trying to get compensation and all sorts of other things, and it came to pass that he'd paid an Iraqi agent 500 English pounds for each person he could find with allegations against British troops. Well, of course they're going to make them up when you give them 500 quid, aren't they?
The sad thing is they weren't the only solicitors firm doing that, and it was just like a money train. But how despicable to treat the people who are actually potentially dying for you and try and cash in on what they're doing. And it's, obviously nobody makes bones about the war today. It's the most stressful thing you can be involved in. And then to add to the stress that you're now being potentially treated as a murderer instead of a soldier is absolutely disgusting. Luckily, Mr. Shiner may well face criminal charges because of this.
Well,
he should.
He should.
And you know what? It's a disgrace. And I mean, lawyers get a bad enough rap on their own. They don't need him bringing them down anymore.
No, I'll give you. Can I give you the derivation of a solicitor? Mm-hmm. What a solicitor does is this, boys and girls. You go to see them, and you have a problem, a legitimate problem, shall we say? And he says, "Oh dear, what a shame, Leigh. What a terrible situation you're in." Now you go home, Leigh, and you write up. You give me a full report of everything that's happened. Put it in chronological order. Send it back to me when it's all done. I'll just check through it for you, which I'll charge you for as well. And then I will submit it to the court. And when we win, I get all the glory and I charge you for all the work you've done.
That's right. I had an example of this, which we sorted out a while ago through CWF. And there'd been a row. A couple were getting divorced and they'd had a row over a broom. Literally a broom. Yeah, it was his mother's broom and he wanted it. She was keeping it because it was his mother's broom and it was upsetting him. They had actually run up a bill of £800 solicitors' fees over a broom. And I got the money back off the solicitors for them. But the fact is, what kind of people are these who will say, yeah, that's a lot more, 800 quid to get a broom for you? Yeah, what sort of people do that kind of thing?
Ah, right. Yes, well, indeed. And the comment I've just received is about Mr. What's his name and his lot. I really hope.
Shiner. That's
it. I really hope the book gets thrown at that ambulance chasing solicitor, because that's what he is. He really is. We've got time to do this one before the break. A little spat going on now. Look out, boys and girls. Rach is going to rant. It's going to be Rant Pants Brunsden in a moment because Donald Trump, bless him, has had a right bash at Malcolm Turnbull over a supposed refugee deal, which Mr. Trump says you're having a laugh. Malcolm Turnbull's saying something different. And, of course, Mr. Trump then goes hammering off into Twitter and does his own thing because he don't care. And apparently Mr. Trump hung up on the Australian PM just 25 minutes into their hour-long call. Oh, Rach.
Oh, this is hilarious. It's all about our, we've talked about on the show about the refugees that have been detained on Manus Island and in Papua New Guinea. It's really quite horrendous that this has even come to pass. But the Obama administration agreed to resettle these people. 1,250 of them. Donald Trump tweeted thousands of immigrants. It's like, it's not, it's 1,250. And so now they've had this big row, the two of them, because Donald Trump thinks it's a stupid deal and doesn't want to honour it. And he rang up Malcolm Turnbull and started yelling and screaming and talking about what a great guy he was and how much he won the election by and all this sort of rah. Uh-huh. And then our Prime Minister had the temerity, can you believe it, to stand up and say to this guy, listen, I'm a businessman, you're a businessman, a deal is a deal. And he shouted him down and Trump didn't like it and hung up on him. Now, I don't agree very much with Malcolm Turnbull about what he's got to say or do about much of anything. But he stood up for us. He really did. He said, no, I'm sorry, I'm not having all this. You pull your head in, a deal's a deal. You stand by the deal. That's what you do in business, and you rave on about being a great businessman all the time. So hats off to him there. Aside from the fact that this shouldn't have even happened in the first place because we should have resettled those people and not kept them in prison camps, that's a whole other story and a whole other show. It shouldn't have come to this now. But Donald Trump blustering and carrying on if you have made Donald Trump angry and he hangs up on you, then you've done something right, in my opinion. Very right. So,
do we not like Donald Trump then?
Sorry?
Do we not like Donald Trump then?
Oh, no, he doesn't get numpty of the week. He gets numpty of the century.
Oh, right.
This man, he's the walking Cheeto. He's a buffoon and he's a moron. And he yells at people trying to get his way. And then he gets on Twitter and starts talking about foreign policy in a public forum. The man has no discretion. He's got no brain. He's got no political savvy. He's got no foreign policy. But the thing is, you can't alienate your allies. And we're very closely aligned with America with the ANZUS Treaty, as are Britain. Yes. They have their own deal with them, but we've got a treaty between us, New Zealand, and the United States. What he's doing is he's alienating forces that are sitting in a place not far from China where he wants to start throwing his weight around. So why would you do that? Don't do that to us. This is a really bad thing to do. But I've said, today what they should do is what our guys should do is our Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition get in a room, hash out something about these poor people, get them resettled in Australia, then turn around to Donald and go, don't even worry about it, man, we got it sorted.
Exactly. That's the way. That is the way to do it, though, because at the end of the day, as you quite rightly say, Rach, it's 1,200 people. Now, I understand a lot of the very strict rules in Australia, including, you can't take food in, you can't take plants in, blah, 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 blah. I get it. And I understand Australia protecting Australia. That makes huge amounts of sense to me. But when you've got 1,200 people, surely to goodness, you can...
These people have been sitting in detention for 3 years. Now, the issue originally was that they'd come here illegally, and we'd had that very strict policy put in by Tony Abbott saying, stop the boats, stop the boats, stop the boats. We don't want people to be coming here by the boatload thinking they can get in the country. We want to stop them. That deters them from coming in the first place.
Right.
So out of people, they can't let them in. But if my argument is that, okay, they're illegal, keep them offshore, process them properly so they can enter legally, then get on with it. Like, it doesn't take 3 years to process 1,250 people. It just doesn't. And meanwhile, these are horrible. Nauru, in particular, and Manus are horrible. They're horrible conditions these people are living in, horrible. And their only crime is getting away from a worse situation.
I think it's our duty to point out that Trump actually did not entirely kick the deal out. He actually he's been advised not to because they're an ally. But what he said is that he would honour the deal, but on the condition that the refugees undergo extreme vetting. Now,
I mean, nobody's coming into his country, so he doesn't even have to worry about it.
But it's his country, and he's been voted in, and America is a very insular country, always has been very insular, and what he's doing is pulling the country even more insular.
Where I agree with Malcolm Turnbull is that if you make a deal, and then say it's two companies, okay? You sign a deal, so let's play the game through. Leigh has a widget manufacturing company, and Rachael is a widget manufacturing buyer. There, you do a deal, then all of a sudden, Leigh, because he's so old, has to retire. And
no noise came from my side then. Nothing was said.
No. And the lovely Andrea takes over and says, I'm not doing that deal. I'm not playing that game. Well, I'm sorry, the deal is a deal.
Is it a deal? It's not even the deal. It's not even the deal. The deal isn't even the issue. This is my annoyance with this. And he is going to honour the deal, but with this extreme vetting, not one single one of those refugees are going to make it into America anyway. We should be resettling them in Australia. My argument with the deal, whether he accepted it or not, is that you can't posture and bluster and carry on with world leaders who have got way more political experience than you do. You have to show people, particularly your allies, particularly people who have put soldiers' boots on the ground in your wars, you have to show them respect. You have to. You can't just bluster around and and do what he does all the time, which is bully and shirt people. And you can't do that. You have to show a bit of diplomacy, a bit of tact, and say, hey, this is a conversation and we might disagree, but we're not going to carry on like 5-year-olds. He has to pull his head in.
Well, you've got to accept the fact that this is a new man in a new job with a different approach to things, and he set out an agenda. And I would say if two companies had an old agreement, this is going back to the Obama administration, and that deal never came off, like Rachael said, why then is this man expected to honour it? The problem is not necessarily in Trump's case in this particular case. The basic problem lies in Australia, who created this situation in the first place, and that's what Trump is saying.
100% agree with you, but he's got to handle himself better than this.
There could be a better diplomacy.
If Leigh doesn't want to supply widgets to me anymore, because he thinks the deal's bad, but I still want to buy them, I'm not going to scream and yell at him, and he's not going to scream and yell at me. We're going to act like grown-ups and figure out a way out of the deal.
Isn't it? This man is a screamer.
This is the thing. This is a big job. This is an important job, and it's more than about him. This is he. Like I've said to you guys before, the American public are his boss now. It's not about him and his business interests. It's about the United States of America, and it's bigger than one person.
Yep.
He has to pull his head in and start being able to communicate effectively with leaders of other countries. And if he doesn't want to do that, he needs to rethink his position.
Well, he is actually representing what the American people want. That's the scary part. The American people voted him in because of the way he is and because of the policies that he put forward. And he is actually ringing their bell by doing exactly what he promised to do. And what he's doing, and a lot of business people do this, as Eric will know, he's clearing the decks of everything. So he's basically got a clean slate to work on.
Yeah, I know.
And that's fine. But you know what? My Prime Minister today stood up and said, nah, you're not going to bully us, man. And so that's all good with me.
Good on him. There's nothing wrong with people standing up for themselves, but I don't see why Trump's got to demigrate. I'm not an apologist for Trump. Dorothy's just written, we can only hope for resignation or impeachment. I agree with Rachael. He's the most dangerous man, incapable of basic rational thought. I think that's a terrible thing to say about him. Why do we assume that this man is a moronic idiot? This is the world's most powerful man. He might be absolutely petrified, but I don't think he's a degenerate in his brain. I think he's a very clever man, and we should watch what he does and where he goes. He is doing all sorts of things.
Look, hold on a minute. I speak as one with experience here.
When were you president of the United States?
No, because Donald Trump, yes, he's very harsh, he's very outspoken, but when you look at his business empire, the way it grew, I'll lay money on it. I will lay money on it. People who were his generals were sitting there one day and going, why on earth is he doing that? What is the point of doing that? And about 2 years later they go, oh, get it now. Because he's working
through exactly those circumstances with you on occasions where you just look askance at what's happening, then all of a sudden you go, blinking it, that makes sense.
Yep, and it does happen.
And I'm not defending him. But I think we've got to look at the fact that he is an intelligent bloke.
He's not. He's a failed businessman. He's had next to no successful business ventures. His money was handed to him. He didn't earn or work for his money growing up. It was handed to him.
Trump
and he
Towers
has done
does
nothing
very
with
well.
it.
The best hotel in the world, Trump Towers, and it does very, very well.
Yeah, but everything, I look at it. There's golf courses. There's ranges of products.
Golf course in Scotland's doing well.
Yeah.
He's got all.
And he's the most powerful man in the world. You can't call him a failure.
Well, no, yes, right, you can. Yeah, because originally, when he first started out, he did have problems and didn't get on very well. But unlike other countries, in America, if you fail but then get up again, they consider you partly a hero. Whereas in the UK, if you do something not bad, but you struggle in business and something goes wrong and you have to go into bankruptcy or whatever, you're instantly a bad person. In America, you're not. And that's the big difference. And I think when you evaluate Trump in any way, shape or form, you've got to try and do it from an American perspective, because the Australian one, the English one, and certainly the Slovak one are not the same as the American citizens perceive their president to be.
That's right. I'd like to say I'm not defending him in any way, but I'm worried by the fact.
Neither am I.
But it's the fact that everybody is treating this. It's trial by social media for him.
No,
it's not.
No,
it's not. That's balls. He is all over Twitter like a maniac all the time. He's put himself on trial with that.
Of course he has, but what I'm saying is, if you let me finish, it is trial by social media. The social media aspect, the way social media looks at Trump is exactly like we've been saying, that the man's an idiot, that he's all sorts.
Absolutely not.
But
absolutely not.
Of course it is.
No.
Of course it is. Everybody's attacking him.
Have you not seen the other e-petition that's been started? No, clearly.
Well, I don't know. We've got one with millions of signatures on in Britain.
And the one that was launched afterwards is now close to 1 million, saying, we want Donald Trump to come to the UK.
Oh, yeah, that's really not the point. The point I'm trying to make is that trial by social media is the howling and the baying of the wolves of social media.
But the social media... Hold on, the social media started...
If you finish what I'm saying, then you know what I am, then you can argue.
Go on then.
No, honestly, all I'm saying is that he is being attacked left, right and centre on social media. The only point I was going to make was that actually the traditional media is taking a more pragmatic look at the situation and saying that actually, is this man a genius or is he a maniac? Right. And they are looking at the fact that instead of just saying what a load of rubbish he is, they're saying, could he be doing exactly what you said before, that he is building an empire that only people will understand in the near future?
Right.
That's all we're saying.
But the social media have now started the balance off by saying, we want him to come to England, whereas one group is saying, don't want him. There's now hundreds of thousands of people signing an e-petition in the UK to say we want Donald Trump to come to the UK, being started on and running through social media. So social media on one side is saying we don't like him. On the other side, they're saying we do like him.
So finally, we've got social media with a bit of balance then.
Yes.
That's a good thing. That's a wonderful thing.
Cool, that's
don't look at my page for any balance. Don't look at mine.
Right, don't look at mine. Look at what CWF has said about it.
Right, in which case we're going to have to take a commercial break because we're way late. We'll be back faster and you can drink that milkshake or have a burger.
From the heart of Europe to the world, this is RTI.
This is an appeal that I simply wish I didn't have to make. In this day and age, how is it possible that 1,400 children will die today from dirty water? That children like Elodie have to drink dirty water from rivers and swamps, risking their lives. Right now, you can help save a child's life. Text the word water to 70080 to give WaterAid £3. WaterAid has the expertise to install pipes, pumps and taps that will bring clean water to children at risk. They just need your support. In the next minute, dirty water will kill another child like Elodie. So please, don't wait to save a child's life. Text WATER to 70080 now to give WaterAid £3. Thank you.
If your dream holiday is 2 hours from the UK, perfect for children and teenagers, young couples and the older visitor, ideal for the physically active and for those who just want to unwind, Aqua City is the destination for you. Described by the Travel Channel as the place that will soon be on everybody's lips, be ahead of the crowd and the envy of your friends, but still enjoy a home from home. Come to Aqua City Poprad, the world's leading green resort.
From the heart of Europe to the world, RTI.
And welcome back to part 2 of Postcard from Poprad, boys and girls, with me. Say hello, Leigh.
Hello.
And Rachael.
Hello.
Oh, gosh, they are still both there. They didn't beat each other up in the green room. I've got to do a bit of housekeeping before we move on, boys and girls. Excuse me, I'm going to have to reach across here because I can't do it otherwise. And I can't see it anyway. Well, no, I can see it now, but I couldn't see it because the sun was on it. We've got a whole new wealth of scheduling stuff as we launch the new programme schedule on RTI this weekend. And I'll run down it quickly. We start with Andy and Kilty K after us, then Beatles and Beyond. Keith Rogers, the Barmy Brummy. Jim Stevens, good old Cat. The Carnaby Cat is on at 8 o'clock. Rick Quigley's on at 10. Chris Reardon on at midnight. And then starting off Saturday, we've got Shauna, followed by the Australian Mr. D.
Yeah.
Yes. Then we go from Australia. Oh, this is really confusing. We go from America to Australia, then back to America for the Electric Radio Show, up to Scotland for Robin D, back down to the Midlands of the UK for Mark Dobson. Then we whiz back off to America for, believe it or not, the new show, British Music Rocks. Then we go down to Nashville for CM&T. Then we go off to Wales, I do lie, for Jeremy and the Soul of Blues, followed by Sweet Company. Viv Craigs is in the UK. Chris Dannett's doing his Pirate Memories later on a Saturday. Then we start off with Overdrive on Sunday morning. We're doing Overdrive with Sunday morning. Then you get a bit of me for a couple of hours with the Power Music Weekend. Chris Dannett's back. Then we get Radio Scooby, Rick Wigley, That Thing with Rich Appel. And you must listen to that. It is so wonderfully done as an American jock. The Jazz Funk and Soul Show with Clive Brady is up next. Then Jim Stevens. Paul's back. Then Alex Nichol with the Vinyl Show. Then we get Dave Rhodes. Oh, my word. With the Dave Rhodes Experience. Chris Medhurst, Sold on Funk. And then we have Leigh's dinner party. Well, it was going so well up until that point, wasn't it?
I'm not inviting you to my dinner party.
It was going just so well until we got there. But I wonder why Leigh's dinner party's on at 10 o'clock at CET.
I don't know.
I know, because he doesn't get up till 12 o'clock CET in the daytime normally.
You know what? This is great. You can go all the way around the world and you won't get jet lag.
That's true.
You want what?
You won't get any jet lag for taking that round the world trip.
No, you won't. You're absolutely right, Rach. Well thought out.
So much. I have my occasions where I think things out.
Gosh.
We have just talking about thinking things out. We have a new message just arrived.
It flooded in.
It flooded in all by itself.
Yeah.
It just says, part of rational thought is being able to see the results of one's actions, their effect on other people now and in the future. Well said, Dorothy. And thank you for supporting me in my view. That's all I was saying.
Yeah, right.
I think she supported me by accident.
No, I think that could be read both ways. It's a bit of a double entendre in some ways. So it could be focused on. Yes, it could. You could. Anyway,
she's very annoyed with me now because she's writing furiously.
It's probably Facebook and two founders of Oculus, which is a virtual reality technology, have been ordered to pay $500 million. But believe you me, that's still a drop in the ocean when you consider that Facebook made something like, well, it was over $3 billion recently on the last results. And this is all to do with a company that had this virtual reality thing, and Facebook bought into it. Then they found out that other people were involved in it. And I was talking to our chairman, an erstwhile leader yesterday, and he said, what do you think about it? I said, look, the trouble with all this stuff is that most of the technology goes into the public domain at some point. That doesn't make it public domain, though. But anything that's made on a computer by a human being can be undone by a human on a computer the same way. So how do you work out which way it is? And the trouble is, in America especially, they've tumbled this. They've absolutely tumbled it. So what happens is the lawyers get involved again, and you get these stupid, ridiculous payouts for a bit of code that somebody's written, that somebody thought they bought, then they find out they didn't buy, and it's just a ridiculous... The only person that's getting really, really rich out of this is a bunch of lawyers.
Well, that's the way it always goes, isn't it? And this virtual reality, have you actually used one of those machines?
Not those particular ones, but I have used virtual reality machines, yes. Similar.
Yeah, I've used them, the things you put over your head. And unfortunately, and this should be a plea for the world, as I am a cyclops, it doesn't work.
It won't.
No, because I have two eyes. I don't only have one eye in the middle of my head. I actually have two eyes, but one of them doesn't work very well at all. And so virtual reality doesn't work. 3D television doesn't work or anything. So I think there should be a group set up for people like me.
Rachel and I have gone very quiet.
That's all right.
No, not really. I was engrossed.
You were what?
I don't really know anything about this topic. I know nothing. So I was learning by listening.
Yeah, that was a good get out, Rach.
That was a very good get out, Rach.
But it's true. I don't know anything.
I don't either. I was just making it up.
All right. Shall we go on to something that's not made up? Google have mistakenly noted high traffic from the National Health Service network in the UK. And because of the high traffic, they've considered it to be a cyber attack. How stupid! How stupid can you be?
So what they're doing, they're blocking the NHS?
Yes.
Well done, Google.
I mean, you couldn't make it up, could you?
So what's happening? Because people are ill because it's the winter.
No. What's happening is people are in the NHS areas... on the NHS network, which is connected to the interweb, and they are Googling to find things.
Right, like cures for their ailments,
Could be. It could be all sorts of things.
I have a bump on my bleep.
Yes.
Because they've set up a service where you can email in to find out what's wrong.
No. It's not with the public. It's with the NHS Trust network. It's the people inside the trust.
That's what I was trying to find out. Yeah, so it's the people who work for the NHS.
Correct. So they're Googling, and Google has said, there's so many of you Googling, we thought it was a cyber attack. Now, I've experienced something on a lower scale, because, you know, when sometimes you Google and it doesn't kind of give you exactly, so you change the wording around. And if you do it too quickly, Google comes up and says, we need you to verify your account before you can continue.
I've had that as well.
So it's a bit of a... But here comes the nub of the story. There are thousands and thousands of people that work at the NHS and are connected to the NHS network. We'd all agree with that, wouldn't we?
Well, they're actually quite staggeringly. There are 1.5 million staff.
Correct. So,
incredible.
Dear Mr. Google, the NHS in the UK has come up with a solution. They have told their people not to use Google anymore and to use your biggest competitor, Microsoft's Bing, to bypass the problem. So you just potentially lost 1.5 million people because your algorithms don't work properly.
Well,
and then when Bing does the same thing, they can go to Firefox.
No, but if you think about it, Bing will now know all about this, so they will monitor the IP address, the Internet Protocol address of the NHS. It will be flagged up like crazy in Microsoft, and they'll go, anything that comes from there is good, let it through, let it through, let it through.
And make a mozza.
Yes. So well done, Google. You just lost yourself 1.5 million people who used to use you.
That's incredible. I just don't believe what they've done. That's amazing.
Do you know, sometimes, and this is a bit galling, I suppose, because Google recently have been doing so much to help people get things right. And I was like, you know, I'm not the one that really supports or champions Google. But I was actually saying to somebody the other day how wonderfully well Google have listened to people in the internet business who have been saying to them, look, tell us what you flaming want, give us some tools to work with, and we'll do it for you. And believe it or not, Google have done it. I can't get over it. It's just wonderful. And then they go and screw up by doing this.
Oh, dear, oh, dear.
That's hilarious.
I know. Anyway, moving along. This was an organisation I thought was a professional organisation, a bit like an accountant's organisation. It was known as the BMA, the British Medical Association, and I really thought it was a collective of minds. I thought it was an association. More recently, I found out it's not. It is a union activist group, which is so far politically correct as to be stupid.
I think that. How'd you get it as a union?
Well, because they are.
Go on, explain.
Because it's the BMA that keep calling people out on strike.
That's a very good point. And actually, if you look at it, this story, it actually is a very left-wing, trendy kind of story.
Exactement, mon chéri.
Shall we tell the ladies and gentlemen, the boys and girls, what the story's about?
Would you like to do that, Mr. Banks?
I'm quite shocked and amazed at this story. I'll just read the intro.
All right.
Pregnant women should not be called expectant mothers over fears it could upset transgender people. The British Medical Association has urged them to be known as pregnant people so it can include intersex or transgender men. That's because there is one man who is pregnant in the UK at the moment.
Really?
Yes, he's a transgender man, and he's gone through the whole thing, and he's pregnant because of this one man.
So he must have had. Hang on, whoa! He must have had a female womb to start with.
However they've done it, they've done it.
Rach, you're a mummy.
Yes.
Would you be a pregnant person, or would you be an expectant mother?
I'd be both.
Well, there you are.
There you are. Well, yeah. But why can't you call and expect... See, if a man's pregnant, has he then become a mother? Or is he a father?
Normally a mother, but father.
He's an expectant person.
So you agree with them, Rachel? You agree that this should...
No, that was smart. You missed it. Rach, do it again because it went over his head.
No, he didn't. I was asking a straightforward question based on it.
He would be an expectant person.
Yes.
Yeah, but do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing?
I think that's a... Oh, you see...
1-0 to Mr. Banks this week.
No, not really. That's a straightforward...
I just think it's... I think part of me says this is PC gone mad.
Yeah.
Another part of me says, well, if everybody's sort of comfortable, why don't we just use that?
Yeah.
And I think, most of me actually thinks this is kind of rubbish and this PC gone mad.
Yeah.
But I think, if you're going to make if we're trying to be in society now, if we're trying to be more inclusive and more tolerant and respectful of people's feelings, etc., then why don't we just go with the flow and call people whatever we want to call them?
I think you're absolutely right. I really do. Because
Except for one point.
No, Leigh. When you get to the rest of it, so you've gone through this political correctness, and then the BMA are suggesting the elderly should be referred to as older people, disabled lifts as accessible lifts.
You know what we call them?
What?
At my day job?
What?
Limited mobility access.
So they've got it wrong anyway because
that's their technical term.
Then the BMA have got it all wrong completely.
But there is a simple point here that should be made.
Yeah, who the heck are the BMA?
No, please.
Ow.
Right,
Ow.
This is the point.
Oh,
right,
Mr. Please.
If you are right, if you are having a sex change from male to female, you want to be a female, surely.
Yes.
Surely.
Yes.
Therefore, if you become pregnant,
You're a
you
mummy.
are a female. You're a mummy.
Yeah, exactly.
You're an expectant mother.
And I think maybe
Where's the problem?
But there is no problem, I don't reckon, Uncle Leigh. And,
No.
and the thing is, though, that I think in this particular case is so unusual that
Right.
why is there a whole conversation about this particularly unusual case? This is not going to be something that's going to happen a lot, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting.
So, you know, why are we talking about? Why are they talking
let's
about
move
it?
on. Apparently, there's a new app that tells commuters if a pregnant woman needs a seat on the tube.
You're a pregnant man.
Or a pregnant man. And there's apparently a 14-page guideline to this, which is published online. And there's a champion of it. It's called Philip Davis, the MP. And you know what? We don't need an app for that. Why do we need an app for that? Look
up from your phone and see a pregnant woman standing in front of you and then give her your seat, for goodness sake.
Exactly. And look.
The thing is, nowadays, people won't do that. People don't do things like that anymore.
British gentlemen do, but they don't do it for that reason. Shall I be honest, Leigh? I'm going to clean this up a bit, but I'm going to be very honest about the quintessentially English male.
Yes.
Because the quintessentially English male is well renowned for opening the door for a young lady to go through first.
And today, those women never say thank you, so I don't do it anymore.
It's got nothing to do with that. And secondly, the Great British male is renowned for standing up and letting the lady sit down on the tube or the bus or the train.
But
Can
the
I
women
tell
never say
you,
thank you anymore,
this has
so
got
don't do it.
nothing to do with being nice whatsoever. When the young lady walks through the door first, the man gawks at her bottom. When the young lady sits down on the train, man gawks at boobs. And it's got nothing to do with being nice.
Nobody wants to gawk at me. I never get offered a seat.
Oh, I'd offer you a seat.
I'd offer you
You
a
don't
seat.
be
Yeah,
mad
for
at
the
this.
different
You don't
course.
have to be really, really angry about manners these days. And I'm getting off topic a little bit, but rant.
Go on then.
Go on, run.
I catch mass transit to work every day because I don't like driving. It's boring. And I like to catch mass transit because then I get to watch what people do and then report stupid activities on Facebook.
I would never have noticed, Rach.
So what's really irked me now is when I was a kid, if you were on the bus or the train or the tram or wherever and you're a school-aged child, if an adult is standing, you get up and give them your seat because it's good manners. And two, you're paying half fare, they're paying full fare. Kids aren't getting up anymore.
No.
Ever. I never see it happen.
Rach, can I help you a bit?
Yes.
Go to one of the cheap dollar shops and get some of those cheap pretend walking sticks that you can't really use. Get on the train with them and gently shuffle down the train with the walking sticks. I bet they'll stand up for you. Try it.
They don't. I've seen it. They don't stand up for
No, they
pregnant
won't
women or
because they
people
don't
or
think you've seen
disabled
them.
people.
Oh, right, okay.
They don't. They're looking at their phones, and it's terrible. But I thought you were going to say, I know what to do. Next time I get on the train and I see it, I'm just going to break wind.
People just don't know how to behave anymore.
They don't.
And the simple fact is that if you do offer somebody a seat, or the simplest one is opening the door for a woman or standing back to let them go, they will totally look through you. They will not acknowledge you. Therefore, people are stopping being polite. This is no longer a polite society. People are stopping doing the basics of politeness because the people who get treated with politeness don't have the politeness to actually be polite back.
Right.
There's some people who are rude.
I know, I nearly followed that. We mustn't miss this story at all, boys and girls, because Mr. Banks ruined it earlier. We've got
it. We've been joined by my big brother Phil.
Hello, Phil.
Hello, Phil.
Phil,
how you going?
I'm all right. Say hello to the world.
Hello, world.
That was very...
Yeah, that's better than saying goodbye to the world.
Goodbye, cruel world. I'm off to join the circus. The furious listeners from BBC Radio 2 thought it was heartless when the veteran broadcaster Brian Matthew, he's really, really not well, was axed from the BBC Radio 2 schedule.
Is he the one who did Sound of the 60s?
Correct. Now, I'm going to get...
Is that all they do?
What?
What, fire people?
They just fire people.
I know.
Of course they do.
I know, but the thing is, now I'm going to get hate mail for this. The thing is, BBC Radio 2 is not an oldies station anyway. And therefore, it's logical that after a period of time, they would stop Sound of the 60s as a show because they're moving forward into the next decade. So I get that. It all makes sense to me. But while everybody's been ranting and getting all hot under the collar in the press, Radio 2 have actually agreed, and I think it's going to happen at Easter, that Brian Matthew will return to Radio 2 to do some specials just so that he can say goodbye to his audience.
Yeah, that's fair, isn't it? Well, what decade do you think the BBC Radio 2 is moving into?
It should be, for my point...
Has it now got into the 70s? I think it's in the 70s now, isn't it? It's only about 40 years out of date, 50 years out of date.
Who was liking Sound of the 60s?
Hang on, I've got to refer to my notes, Phil, because I could use the wrong politically correct words and get myself into trouble.
Go on, then.
I'm just going to call them old people.
Who?
That's all right. Well, surely lots of people were liking the Sound of the 60s, so why is it disappearing?
Well, because
they moved into the 70s, honestly. They are, Eric has just said they're changing...
Lots of people are still loving the 60s.
Of course they are.
I know. And the thing is, thank you for the lead in, Phil. You're a gentleman. Because when, believe it or not, boys and girls, when RTI Gold starts on the 17th of February, there will be a daily segue sound of the 60s.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Yes.
And it's a really good station. And guess what I did this week? I listened to it when it wasn't there.
Yeah, because you're not supposed to...
I got the schedules mixed up.
You're not
skill in itself.
Yeah, you're not supposed to listen right now because it's only on test. It's testing all the equipment, but people are blinking listening to it. Anyway, there will be a Sound of the 60s for everybody very shortly, as from the 17th of February here on the RTI network, not the BBC, as the jingle says. We are not the BBC. Builders accidentally dug up the Blue Peter capsule, which is a time capsule. Blue Peter being a kids programme. They buried it in 1998, and it nearly got ruined because the builders at the Millennium Dome, that's that big plastic bubble thing, were doing some digging, and they dug it up, and there was a big hue and cry about it.
Yeah, but they smashed it up as well.
I know, it was all bent.
But it was full of stamps and coins and Teletubbies.
Oh.
And a Blue Peter badge. Oh, how sad.
Oh,
How sad.
Teletubbies, you see.
Yeah, that's it. Well done, builders. Well done. We love you, builders.
What did you say, Phil?
Did you say sorry?
They're frightfully silly in the UK, aren't they?
Yeah. frightfully silly. Frightfully silly.
Be good.
I like it. Be good. I like that immensely. And I think, you know what, boys and girls, after all that, even though we were short of things because of other things, and then it was all a bit of a flap, we've actually gone and run out of time.
Yeah, and we will we'll get Mr. Teague on next week, and he's apologised for his absence, but it was for a good reason and a good cause.
Yeah, and we must say hello to Muse, who's late. Muse, where have you been? She's late on parade. Very naughty. Very, very, very naughty.
Very naughty.
Rach, what are you doing this weekend?
This weekend I'm going to drive out to the middle of nowhere near the snowfields in Victoria and look at a block of land to buy.
What, eh?
A block of land to buy?
Yeah.
Is you buying a block of land?
Does the land stand upwards?
Yes, exactly. Is it blocked or is it flat? Is it a flat earth or a blocked earth?
It's a flat earth. Depends what you've been eating or drinking or smoking.
Would you build a block of flats on it, or would you build a flat of flats?
No, it's sort of lumpy earth where she's looking. It's
right, a bit lumpy.
Nothing wrong with a bit of lumpy earth.
Yeah, it's the same trouble as when Dolly Parton lays down on the road, isn't it? Leigh,
Excuse me. I think you should apologise to the world for that.
Very well.
Hello, world. Right, Leigh, what are you up to?
I'm going to de-stress. I'm going to spend this weekend de-stressing. I will not allow all these idiots to wind me up anymore.
Right.
It will probably involve lots of imbibing and lots of sulking and lots of crying, but I will enjoy it. Maybe the redoubtable Andrea won't, but I will.
Right, can you say goodbye in Sooty speak?
No, I'm not doing Sooty anymore. I want to do Orville the Duck.
Go on then.
I can't do Orville the Duck.
RTI.